Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we are getting a bit of a late start this morning on chores. Well, I should say on our normal chores, because we got distracted early this morning by 2 new calves that were born overnight.
We've known that they were kind of out having their calves. They kind of disappeared and went off on their own. So we had a feeling yesterday that they were going to be calving within the next 24 hours. And sure enough, this morning we went to look for the cows and found 2 brand new baby calves. And that's actually 3 new calves in the last 2 or 3 days, which brings us to a total of 7 total calves so far this calving season.
But now that we know those cows are okay and that they're settling in well with their new calves, we need to get busy because it's getting hot out and we've got a lot of chores to do this morning. We thought we'd bring you guys along as we go do our normal morning chores, or at least most of them. And then we've got an exciting update for you guys in the greenhouse today. And then we're just going to kind of play it by ear because we are under a severe thunderstorm watch for later today, and we'll just kind of see how the wet day plays out as far as whether or not the storms actually come and get us or not.
There are a few things also while we do the animal chores that we're going to share with you probably for the first time, unless you have gone to our website and signed up for our newsletter, because we have revealed some of these things through our newsletter. But today there will be some new things that we're going to talk with you about, so we're excited to share those. But first we're going to get started here in this barn. This is where we have the ducklings.
Well, you guys, the ducklings are doing amazing. These are Pekin ducks, in case you missed the first video where we actually got them in the mail. They're 2 weeks old today. Pretty soon we'll be moving them outside into a tractor. I guess it'll be a duck tractor when there's ducks in it. But you guys, they are growing so well. We're leaving a heat lamp on for them yet overnight, but during the day, definitely no heat lamp. It is getting plenty warm in this barn. I did move them to the next size of waterer now. I showed you guys in the first video, we use these waterers where they can just get their head in. We have one with really small holes for when they're little, but they already outgrew that one, so then we use this one. This one's got a little bit bigger holes, and this is the one that they will use now until we move them outside. Once we have them outside, I'll show you guys the kind of bowl that I've made for them outside. So for now, it looks like they are good on water for this morning. I did run out here earlier and just make sure they had water before it started to get warm out. But they do need some feed. Now, because these guys are 2 weeks old, just within the next day or two, I'm going to be switching them away from this high protein feed. Right now they're on a 22% protein feed. But probably either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to switch them down to a 16% protein feed. And that's important with ducklings because if they grow too quickly, they can develop something called angel wing, where their wings will actually stick straight out. And if you don't catch it in time, it can actually be irreversible. So we need to make sure they grow at the right speed. We're also still putting the niacin in their water so that they grow correctly. So we're doing all of that, and again, they'll be moving outside soon. So let me give them some food. They've also upgraded to a bigger waterer here, or a bigger feeder here. I'm sure they're going to be happy to get some fresh food this morning. And that's all they really need for right now. We'll see if they start eating. And then you guys, you may have noticed here behind me, we have a brooder set up. This is our last hatch of the American breast chicks. All of these chicks are going to new homes tonight, but you can see they are doing really well. They were hatched, I think they're about 4 or 5 days old right now. So they are doing well. Like I said, they are all sold already, so they're going to new homes this evening. Looks like they need some food this morning as well. They're good on water. And then we're going to head out to the quail and rabbit area. I've got some updates for you in there as well.
Well, the rabbits are all doing great. We're just going to give them all food and water. Now, earlier this spring, our rabbits had 3 separate litters of bunnies. They're all old enough to be weaned, and we went through all of the litters and grouped together 2 breeding trios. We have already sold one of those. As of right now, the second breeding trio is still available in our website shop. But we also have several, I think 5 right now, bucks that are old enough to go to new homes, to have their own breeders to be with at other farms. So if you're interested in those rabbits, make sure you check out our website in our shop, and they're available for sale. Okay, let's get these guys some water. Now in here with the rabbits and the quail, we keep a 55-gallon barrel of water because we don't have like a water line in here or anything. And we can drag the hose over to fill it up once in a while. It just makes it a lot easier to have this in here to fill waterers. Now, as it's getting warmer, there are mosquitoes that will lay in here, and a lot of mosquito larvae will be in here, but we have put in one of those dunks, you know, and that will help keep that population down. And inside one of those dunk things that you put in your water barrels and stuff and livestock tanks, these contain a bacteria, an organic bacteria, that will actually eat the larvae of the mosquitoes or any other insect that wants to lay in the water, and then you don't have to worry about them breeding. So now starts the time of year where we use dunks in our water barrels and in our livestock tanks. Okay, let's get these rabbits their water, and we'll give them some food, and then we'll be done. Now, these guys that don't sell, we're going to be moving them to tractors really soon so that we can grow them out for our own meat supply. Now, I do want to mention that this year we're going to be speaking at the Ozarks Homesteading Conference in Marshfield. That's in August. The conference is August 25th and 26th. We will be speaking there on Saturday the 26th, and we're going to be talking about raising meat rabbits, how to raise meat rabbits. So we're really excited about that. Make sure that you check them out. Again, it's called the Ozarks Homesteading Conference, and it will be in Marshfield, Missouri. We hope to see you there. While we're in here, Kevin has an update on the quail.
I am excited to be back into raising quail. You guys know I took a little bit of a break because I was having just a terrible time. Somehow I inadvertently had bred a very aggressive gene into all of the quail that I had. So I actually ended up processing all the quail that I had and starting over with brand new genetics. I was able to get these jumbo meat maker quail from AJ's farm, and you guys, so far I'm blown away with the way that they're doing. I've been able now to separate them into breeding flocks. They're not old enough to start laying just yet. I believe they're 6 or 7 weeks old right now. But I want to show you guys how big these are at 6 weeks old. I think they're about 6.5 weeks old. I actually processed some already, some of the extra males, and I was very surprised how big they were for their age. But look how big that quail is already at just over 6 weeks old. They are doing amazing. So far, I've seen absolutely no signs of aggression, which is good. Now, honestly, they probably, if there was going to be aggression, it probably wouldn't happen until after they're sexually mature anyway. So I can't say for sure. But what I can say is that so far, they're very docile birds. Some of the other birds that I've had in the past have been really kind of flighty and high-strung. These guys, when I'm out here working, when I'm doing their feeders and stuff, I'll leave the cage open. They're not all over the place trying to run around. They're not, I mean, look, they're not afraid of me when I put my hand in. They just seem like very docile birds. And I know when I spoke to the owners of AJ's farm that they said one of the main things they breed for is temperament. And I think that that really shows. So I've been able to keep back 4 breeding flocks. I think I had about 70 that I started with. Out of those, I was able to keep back 3 flocks that have 6 females and a male. And then this flock here has 7 females and a male, which is really a little too much. But I didn't know what to do with the extra female, so one flock just got an extra female. I also just recently switched back to using automatic waterers for these guys because it is getting hot out. But in the past, I actually told you guys I didn't think I'd ever use automatic waterers again because in the past, I've had terrible time with them leaking and just then makes a huge mess. But I found this new type and I want to show you guys. I just bought these on Amazon, so in no way affiliated with this company, but I'm super pleased with the way they're working. And basically the way these work, instead of having like a little valve that the birds hit inside of here to let some water in, what these do is they always have some water in the cup, and you can see them inside the cage there. But what this does is the weight of the water presses this down and shuts the flow off. So as the birds drink out of it and it gets a little lighter, it'll let a little more water in and it'll shut back off. And that way they always have some water in their little cup, and there's no valve to like get clogged up and leak. So far they're working out really well. I've got a 5-gallon bucket on each cage, so each cage has its own 5-gallon bucket, and so 5 gallons lasts pretty long for one flock of birds like this. I really only have to fill them probably once a week, maybe not even. So you guys, I'm super happy with the quail. I've got some extra males over here still that I need to process. I ended up with, I think, 35 or almost 40 extra males. Like I said, I processed 20 of them last week, and I think I've got 15 more that I'm going to process this week, and those are all going to go into our freezer. So you guys, I'm excited to be back in the quail business. I'll give you more updates as we move along. I have done some fixing on these cages to make them snake proof for the summer. That's why I can't have them in my cages with the rollouts, the egg rollout over summer, is because that leaves too big of a gap, and we have a big snake problem here in Missouri. So in the summer, we need to have these little holes where the snakes can't get in and kill the birds. All right, we need to move on to chickens and other things, so let's head back outside.
Okay, let's feed and let out the chickens and the ducks. Now, they've been very patient so far. You're gonna notice when I let these chickens out that there are less chickens. No, we did not get rid of some of our American breast chickens. We actually split them into 2 flocks. We had 2 roosters. They were doing great, but they weren't really getting along with each other. So we decided to split the one large flock into 2 flocks. And Kevin's gonna show you the update on that, but I'm gonna let out these chickens and then quickly let out the ducks. Good morning, chickens. You're not eager to get out, I'm surprised. Thank you so much for being patient. Good morning, ducks. Thank you for being patient. Now everybody's on automatic waterers these days, so I don't need to worry about filling up water pans. So they're all set. Let's go into the orchard area and look at the other chickens. And we've got one surprise for you too. It's gonna be fun.
So on the opposite side of the chicken moat, you can see that I've built a brand new hoop coop. This is where we now have the other half of our flock of American breast chickens. So they, right now, are just staying in here full time because we need them to start to realize that this is their new house. If we were to let them out right now, at night, they would try everything in their power to get back over to their old coop. So probably for the next week or so, maybe 10 days, we'll leave them just in here before we start letting them out into the chicken moat. And then they will have a quarter of the chicken moat that they will have free access to all of the time. We did this so that we can really keep better control of the genetics of the American breasts. That way we'll know when we have chicks coming from this rooster and these hens, and chicks coming from that rooster and those hens. And then we can, you know, down the road when we're building new flocks, make sure we're taking genetics from both and we're continuing to, you know, update our genetics. So this new hoop coop turned out nice. I'm happy with it. If you guys aren't familiar with the hoop coops and you want to learn how to make them, we do have videos about how to make the hoop coops. We've done several videos about it. This is our favorite style of chicken coop to make. These are not really portable. They're not a chicken tractor. We've also done videos about the chicken tractors that we make. In fact, you're going to see one of those in just a second when Sarah shows you the surprise. But these are super heavy, not easy to move, which is great because, I mean, we get big winds here in Missouri. I mean, we're in tornado area, so we get big winds, and these things have never ever budged, which is great. All right, let's head over. Sarah's got one more thing to show you with animals before we head into the greenhouse to give you the update on how everything is doing in there.
This has never happened on our homestead before. I've talked with you all for a long time about how I really love silky hens because they're so cute. And I've talked with you about also having them on the homestead because they go broody and want to hatch eggs. Well, we've never allowed a chicken or had a chicken go broody long enough to hatch her eggs, but we just had a silky hen hatch out 2 chicks that she sat on. Now, I do want to tell you, I'm going to show you, but I do want to tell you that overnight, one night when she was still in with the rest of the silky hens, something got one of those chicks. So we're down to 1 chick. Since then, we've moved her to our very own chicken tractor that is protected by hardware cloth with, you know, 1/2-inch holes so that no snakes can get her, because it's very possible that a snake got that chick. And they are doing well. I'm so excited to open this up and show this to you. She's being such a great mama, and her chick is so beautiful. Come in and look at her. Now the chick keeps hiding behind her, but there it is. That mama sat on that chick after it hatched for about 3 days before she let it come out and walk around. And it's been through some rain, but has always kept dry and warm underneath her mom for that hen. And we are just so excited that we have had a chick hatch naturally, the way it's supposed to, the way God recommended. And it gives us confidence that if we needed to not rely on an incubator, we could keep these silkies around and they could help us expand our flock. Isn't she just the cutest thing? A little gray, I keep saying she, I don't know, I just keeping her as she, but isn't she cute, or isn't it cute? A little gray silky chick. So that was a wonderful surprise. It has never happened on our homestead before.
Well, we're all finished up with animals, and just in time because it just started sprinkling outside, so we moved inside of the greenhouse. I don't know, the sun's kind of been in and out, but it's raining with the sun out. I don't exactly know what the weather's going to do yet today, but inside the greenhouse, it's beautiful. So we wanted to give you guys a first update on how the greenhouse plants are doing. We did a video about 6 weeks ago when we showed you guys we were planting everything here in the greenhouse. We had 1 or 2 last frosts after that, but everything came through it just fine. And you guys, now that the weather is really starting to warm up, we've had days in the mid-80s. Everything in this greenhouse is just starting to explode. So we're going to go through and just show you plant by plant how things are doing today. Kind of the good and bad about everything, because we're excited to share it with you guys. So we're going to start here at the front with our basil. Basil really struggles in cool weather. So this got off to a very slow start. Now that it started to warm up, it is starting to grow. But just within the last day, I've noticed that you can see we have some bug damage starting on the leaves. I've searched these plants over and I cannot find a caterpillar or anything that is eating these plants. So I am going to come out later today with some natural spray and spray these and just hope that whatever it is will die and move on to somewhere else, because I can't figure out what's eating these. But to me, the way that the damage looks, it looks like some type of caterpillar. So anyway, the basil's doing okay. We're picking a few leaves off every once in a while just to like throw into a salad or something like that, but no really big harvests of it yet. Now just this morning when I was over looking at the green beans, I actually found a little baby basil plant growing over in one of the pots with the green beans. So I actually dug it up and moved it over here just this morning so it can live over here with the rest of the basil plants, and hopefully it'll do well for us as well. All right. Let's move on to tomatoes. You guys know that tomatoes are my favorite thing in the entire world when it comes to gardening. And this year I'm doing something special. I'm doing an experiment growing the world's smallest and the world's largest tomatoes. We've got the world's smallest tomato right here. This is called the Tomberry. The world's largest tomato is at the back of the greenhouse. We'll look at that in a little bit. But, you guys, the tomberries are doing excellent. Look how tall these plants are already. Now, they're in a pot about a foot off the ground. But still, look how tall these plants are already. You can see that we're using the single string method. We showed you guys that when we started it as well. And they're growing up. And there are actually some tomberries starting on here. Let me see if I can find them for you. They're over on this plant, actually. Look at right in there are some tomberries. And this is about as big as they're going to get, is my understanding. Oh, there's some little ones starting up here as well. So you guys, I am excited. They're supposed to be so that you can fit about 10 or 12 of them on a tablespoon. So I'm excited. It'll be a fun experiment to try. I think they're going to be really good in salads and things like that. But more than anything, it's just going to be a fun experiment to try. Alright, now we're getting into, kind of our main tomatoes that we do every year. These next 3 pots here on this side and the 3 pots over on that side are all cherry tomatoes. On this side, we have the large red cherry. Both of these are my 2 favorite varieties of cherry tomatoes. The large red cherry I like because they are an heirloom variety. I can save seed from them every year, and I can, just save my own seed to replant. They are a nice sized cherry tomato, probably about that big, and they do not crack when it gets hot out in the summer, which is super important, especially here in Missouri, where we can have really hot weather and then get a bunch of rain all at once, and then cherry tomatoes just seem to crack open all the time. So the large red cherry and the Juliet, neither one will crack in the heat. Next up after that, we have paste tomatoes. This is the first year we're trying paste tomatoes in the greenhouse. We're hoping that they will do really well in here. A lot of times the paste tomatoes struggle a little bit more out in the garden than the other tomatoes. So we're hoping they'll do better in here. We've got Amish paste on this side. And then we've got Salvatierra Select, which is Sarah's favorite paste tomato, over on the other side. The paste tomatoes are always a little more sparse as far as the leaves go, and they're always a little bit thinner as far as the stems go, but in general they are looking very good for paste tomato plants. From here back, except for the very 2 last pots, are Jetstar tomatoes. You guys know that Jetstars are our absolute favorite slicing tomato because they are just an awesome producer. And every year we get great results with them. I don't think we've ever had a bad year with the Jetstar tomatoes. So you guys, look at how well these are doing already this year. We've got tomatoes on. Look down here how big these tomatoes are already. And we just planted these 6 weeks ago. There's some good sized tomatoes over on the plant over there. But look also just at the color of these and how thick those stems are on these plants. Again, we're using the single string method to trellis these, and they are just doing so well. So again, everything from here all the way down to here are Jetstars. There's not a single plant that really seems to be struggling. They're all doing really, really well. And then in the back, you guys, these are the world's largest tomato. These are called Giant Domingos. I haven't seen any fruit on them yet, but they are loaded with blossoms. But you guys, look at the size of these plants. These stems are, down at the base, they're about as big around as my thumb. They are just amazing at what strong plants these are. One really strange thing that we haven't experienced with any of our other tomatoes, and it has to be something to do with this variety because both plants are doing the same thing, is that they've branched off into 2 separate plants almost as they grow up. So we're actually going to have to add a second string so that we can support just this other branch on each one of them separately. It's not a sucker branch like you would normally take off of your other tomatoes when you're doing the single string method. It's almost like 2 plants merged together. I don't know how to explain it, but because they're both doing exactly the same thing, all I can think is that it has to be a variety thing. So we're just going to keep it the way it is, and we're going to, you know, just trellis both sides of the plant. But you guys, that is how the tomatoes are doing. Just absolutely amazing. I know that probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will be picking tomatoes here in the greenhouse.
On to the pepper plants and some other things that are in this row. You guys, pepper plants really wait for the heat to get big. These have really kind of been stunted for, you know, since we put them in. But over the last week when the heat arrived, you guys, I think they've tripled in size. They're actually looking so wonderful. We have planted 2 pepper plants in each bucket. We will be putting, and in some cases we already have, a tomato cage in between the 2 so that we can use the tomato cage to support them as they get bigger. This year I have chosen not to cut them back to get them bushier, because when I did it last year, I actually felt like those plants were stunted and definitely did not produce as many peppers as those that I didn't cut back. So this year I'm not cutting any of them back. I'm letting them just get wild and do their thing, and so far they're doing a great job. Up front here we have the snacking pepper section, so that when Kevin and I walk in, we can just grab one off of here and eat it as we walk around the rest of the greenhouse. The first ones are lipstick peppers. They're a short pepper that will turn red. The next one here are jalapenos, which have the jalapeno flavor but are not spicy at all. We do like standard jalapenos, but for snacking, to not have the spice is actually a good thing. Plus, not everybody in our family is a big lover of the hot salsas and stuff, so we can hold some of these back and use them in salsas. The Ozark Giant is a bell pepper that we're trying for the first time this year. They are doing really well. We have some yellowing on the edge of some of their leaves, and I think maybe we've planted these plants in buckets that we planted leeks in last year. And I think leeks, or the onion family and the pepper family, might not get along well. So we'll have to watch these guys and see if that will it be affecting their growth and production this year. More Ozark Giants here. Then California Wonder. California Wonder is really just a basic bell pepper, very common and popular, does well every year, so we have some of those. And then my favorite Ajvarsky red roasting peppers. They're doing so well. I actually have decided that 4 Ajvarsky plants is not going to be enough for me this year, so we've held some back from the market, and we will be planting more buckets in the greenhouse. We just need to get those set up and get those planted. I'm excited to have a lot of red roasting peppers this year. Then we come into the spicy area, the spicy peppers. We have 8 plants of the Craig's Grande jalapeno. I'm pretty much out of salsa in the pantry, so I need to make salsa this year, and that requires a lot of jalapenos. That's why I'm growing 8 of those plants. Then 4 Sugar Rush Peach. This is a spicy pepper we've never tried before. They're kind of on the small side and will get like a peach color. From what we understand, they start off sweet, but then they get spicy. The longer you're kind of eating it, the longer it's in your mouth. And the last ones we're doing here are an ahi pepper. They're going to be pretty spicy and little. These are from seeds that we got from some relatives of the original owners of this homestead property, so we're excited to try those. So the peppers are doing fantastic. They've grown big, lots of blossoms. Not any little peppers yet, unlike the tomatoes, but they will be here shortly.
After the peppers, the next thing up is our green beans. Now here in the greenhouse, we grow green beans just for fresh eating. The green beans that will be canning and things like that, freeze drying and preserving in other ways, those will all be out in the garden. But here in the greenhouse, these are for fresh eating. So we've got 4 tubs here with green beans, and I think we have 5 plants in each tub. So 20 green bean plants here in the greenhouse. And you can see they're already starting to put on blossoms. With green beans, once they start to put on blossoms, it's not going to be terribly long before we start harvesting green beans. So that is super exciting. After the green beans are cucumbers. They're doing great. Nowhere near producing yet, but you can see that they're doing great. Everything germinated and everything is coming up just fine. And then right after the green beans are okra. These got off to a rough start as well because okra really are a hot weather plant. And we planted these when it was still pretty cold. So they struggled at first, but they are starting to make up for some lost time now. There is one right here. I don't know what happened to this one. I just noticed it yesterday when we came out here, but suddenly it looks like something ate a bunch of the leaves off. So I think I'm going to pull that one and either replant it, or you can see I've got some to thin out here because when I planted these, I planted 2 seeds in each hole. If I can separate these without damaging one of them, I may just move one of these over and put it where that one is. But the okra are doing good, but again, nowhere near starting to produce okra yet.
The last plants that we have growing in the greenhouse for summer is zucchini. We have 5 planted right now. I do still want a 6th bucket, but we just haven't gotten there yet with other things we've been doing. They're actually doing really well. You can see that they are getting nice and big. They've germinated, and they are, because of the heat, doing really well, growing quickly. I hope that I get a lot of zucchini. I didn't feel like I got enough last year, so I did plant more this year. I do want to mention that in some of the plants here, we've been noticing some pest pressure, some aphids. I saw some on the okra, I saw some on the cucumbers. And so even though we have a really good population of ladybugs in here, they aren't keeping down the aphids. So I'm going to be making an insecticidal spray to spray on them and kill them and prevent them. That includes water, Dr. Bronner's Sal Suds, and neem oil. And so I'll be coming through here the next day or so when it's cool and in the morning and the sun isn't shining yet. I'm going to be spraying those to keep down those aphids. Other than that, and a couple wormy things here and there eating some of our leaves, all the plants are doing fantastic. We couldn't have asked for a better start to our summer gardening. It's really a blessing that we've have this high tunnel, that we can get things started early, and so we can start harvesting early. This greenhouse from Grower Solution has been doing really well for us. We're excited to continue experimenting and growing a bunch of food. Now, I know that we were just going to give you an update on some of the things here in the greenhouse, but there are a couple things right outside of the greenhouse that I want to show you. We're excited about how some of the early spring veggies are doing that we planted and moved on the side. So I want to take you out there and show you, give you an update on some of those things. I do want to just quickly show you our 2 tubs of lettuce. They're still going strong and they're growing big. You know, I can cut back some for a salad and it just seems like in a couple days it's growing just as big as it was a few days ago. But we're really kind of at the end of lettuce season here. These are starting to bolt, you can see, and the leaves are starting to get a little bit bitter. So soon I will be doing a final harvest of this. We'll eat on it in the house for a little bit until, you know, it's all gone. I'm going to pull these out and then use these buckets in the greenhouse for some of the other things I still need to plant yet. But they did fantastic. The onions that we planted here, they're doing fantastic. But the real star of the show here right now, and I want to show you, is these brassicas that we've planted here just as kind of an experiment. And we're using these insect netting bags. These are like fruit tree insect bags that we've put over these. So we didn't have to worry about cabbage worms. The cabbage worms are what get into your cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, and eat down in there. And then when you take it inside and you cut into it, there's like grody worms in it. These are doing so well. We're starting to get some heads of broccoli here. Now this is a Calabrese broccoli. It doesn't get a giant head. It just gets a smaller head and then some small heads all around. This is ready for me to come and harvest, which will encourage these broccoli plants to put on more of those tiny little heads. So these are doing fantastic. No bug damage, but you guys, I want to show you these heads of cabbage. They're doing really well and forming. They're getting really nice and big now. I know it's hard to see through these claws. I don't want to take all of them off, but I will take this one off because I want to show you this cabbage is just about ready to harvest. You guys, look at this nice cabbage head. That is so gorgeous. I'm so encouraged. Oh, there's a big ladybug. Stay in there. It's doing so well. We're so excited. This was just an experiment this year to do these in the buckets and to use these bags over them. And it seems to be working out great. You can see next door, my spinach is ready to be completely cut and washed, and then we're gonna blanch it, and I think I'm gonna freeze dry the spinach this year. It's done great. So that is my update of how these things are doing. I can't be more pleased. I think in the future we'll do more and more of this in the early spring so that we can harvest some of these in a protected environment just like this.
So you guys, that's where we're gonna wrap up today's video. We're so excited with the way things are going in the greenhouse and with some of the new things that are happening with the animals. I feel like we're at a point right now where things are kind of coming together and we're able to take a breath now that we're down to just having, you know, just the one homestead here. This is gonna be our first summer having just this one place again, and we're just really excited with the way that things are going.
Now, later today, Kevin and I, off camera, are going to do some cleanup in the garden. We really do need to get that planted, and weather permitting, we hope to have that planted later on this week. When we do plant, we're going to bring you along so you can see what we're doing, what we're up to, and how we're going to be doing things this year.
So we thank all of you who came out to the farmers market this year to buy plants from us, or just to say hi, just to meet us. We had a really good farmers market season, and we're just so thankful. We are done at the farmers market now for this year. Now it's time to start concentrating on our own growing, our own food for our family. And we hope that all of the plants that you guys bought from us at the market do well for you in your gardens as well.
You guys, if you're enjoying videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And also remember that the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.